All right, people, what's going down? All right. إن الحمد لله وكفاه والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فالسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا وعنين لايت all the way to COVID. Wanjing Layth. Bienvenidos a todos, people. Pakhair Ragle, Khushamadid, and Swagatam. Right, so what is going on? Alright, people, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué está pasando, mi gente? What is going on? Right, the world, as we know it, people, has ended. Allahu Akbar. Inaya, ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. Alright, you're doing it. Always a pleasure to see you online. Right, people, what's going on? Faraz, Zeba, alaykum assalam. And Shira da put. There's somebody on there called Shiran da put. Ki galle, balle. Right, are we not live? Somebody said, how long till we start? What is going on? Let me check out my Facebook, gente, people. Just go through the motions. Those of you that have just tuned in, by the way, for the first time, अब क्या आगे मैं दावत भेजूंगा? Are you waiting for a personal invite to like my pages? Then people say, why does Mufti swear? अबे करना पड़ता है. I have to, people, they they provoke me, the provocation, the provocation. People, ask my Facebook page right there. You can like it. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube because I'm always releasing a clip daily, more or less, clip daily. This is an example of an academic piece. But let me first of all get into my Facebook, gente. Just make sure everybody on Facebook, I can see their comments. Because for some reason there it is, it's come through. They take a bit of a while to trickle through on Facebook. Who is Sheikh Abdul Lockdown, people, lockdown. Wow, what's going down? Well, we're going to talk about this today, people. We're going to talk about this. Right, so let's begin. As always, with a bit of shairi to get us into the mood. And what better than the legend himself, people? The legend! Allah, John Ilya, Hazrat se John Ilya.
कुछ नहीं गया शौक की जिंदगी शौक में कुछ नहीं गया
शौक की जिंदगी गई
हादसा तो है और ये आलमगीर तारीखगीर वाकया
पूरी तारीख का वाकया है, people. Check this out.
से लेकर 6000 बरस की तारीख तक,
even though it's much older than that, but ignore that part.
हादसा तो है और वो ये कि आज तक बात नहीं कही गई, बात नहीं सुनी, एक ही हादसा तो है.
Now people are going to have a lot of time to talk to each other. Lockdown jo ho gaya, lockdown. It's the lockdown, people, the lockdown. And after this lockdown, with this lockdown, what's going on is they're going to be fast forwarding or skipping a lot of people's examinations, you see. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up with with Generation Z, who are already more or less useless. I'm joking, mi generation, mi gente, niños, I'm joking. So anybody who's Generation Z, who's Gen Z watching this, don't worry, man, don't worry. Us old-timers, we still have much love and appreciation for you. But this is what it's going to end up like,
Here's your
people.
question. Spell red.
Red, L-S-T-E-R.
All right. Is that your final answer?
My final answer.
All right. I think that's close enough, but
I think that's close enough. That's going to be the situation of the UK students once they return to to take their exams. That's pretty close enough if you ask me. So a lot is going on, people. A lot is going on. People panicking about buying things. On that note, here was somebody sharing their life saying, what is going on, people? What is going on? What is going on? I'm telling you. So the main thing is don't panic. Keep calm, people. Keep calm. And one of the reasons I want us all to be calm is somebody's asked amidst all of this that where is, before it turns into something like this, I saw this and I was like, huh? Those of you that are familiar, Boris Johnson has already announced a complete lockdown, people. A complete lockdown of the UK. So it's going down right here, people. It's gone down. So people are obviously freaking out. So to add to the freaking out for a moment, थोड़ा बहुत डराना पड़ता है. You got to freak people. No. Right, so you've got things like this. I don't know if you've seen this clip. So here was somebody in Italy that was kind of resisting the cops. They don't care. What a sweep. There's just no zero rats or bats behinds given on this one. वाह 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 बहुत नाजुक सूरत हाल है. Don't worry, people, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Somebody's just posted they need to get married soon. I think this is an awesome time for people to get married, actually, because it's the perfect excuse to not invite people. Just have a low-key, keep your marriage money for yourself, and just say, yaar, I want to call everyone, but hukumat, yaar, sarkar ijazat na de hai. Sarkar is saying, wo kitne aadmi the wo kaliya? And you're like, सरकार वो दो आदमी थे. सिर्फ दो. Only 2 people can meet up. That's what the government is saying. But don't worry, people. For you guys, I have managed to track down the Chuf Chuf Peer Saab. This is the karamat, people. The karamat is what we're dealing with. And meanwhile, you've got Trump saying quotes of the decade that we have people who are dying who have never died before. Subhanallah. Thus spoke Trump. This is what is going on, people. This is what is going on. So I want us all to keep calm, the main thing. It has been announced, as you're all familiar right now, that everything is on lockdown. Mazhar Mahmood Allah, Allah, Allah. May Allah bless you as well. Shukran, shukran, shukran. I'm much honored. So, people, there's those of you that know, in the UK, there's an absolute lockdown effective, I think, as of midnight tonight. All places, stay at home. Quarantine, people, quarantine. La cuarentena. This is it. It's all going down. You can't go out unless it's to go to the shop to buy essentials, to buy medicine, to check up on somebody that you, for example, are a carer for, or it's essential for you to go to work. You can't be in groups of more than 2. Yep, you can't be in groups of more than 2. Outside, on the streets. Obviously, at home, you're allowed. You can exercise, but with family members or on your own, not with friends. I mean, what's this government doing trying to say break up friendships? Yeah, yeah. هو كاره ماذا يحدث. So, not with friends. And what else is there? There's the gym is, I won't lie, the gym is the only one that I've been, can you see that? Can you see that, people? It hit me here, this one. I was like, they said you can't go to the pubs. I was like, They said you can't go to the masjids. I was like, well, I was like, sorry, you talking to me, mate? I was like, who is he talking to? You can't. They said, well, you can't go to the cinemas. I was like, it's getting personal now. And then they said, you can't go shopping. I thought, well, I do a lot of my shopping online anyway. They said, you can't go to the gym. I was like, Bojo, you make this personal now, personal. So anyway, that's what's been going down. Some people, speaking about personal, I saw, when they locked down the masjids. So I saw this quote. This was one of those, people are ventilating people. They're ventilating. Ugh. Men crying that they can't go to a mosque, pray at home. This is male privilege. Well, Zahra ji, to be honest with you, most men don't go to the masjid. But on that note, people, I have got, it's a serious thing now. All right, look, people, let's put our serious cap on. Serious issue at hand now. I want to say that in this crisis, those who have fallen will not be forgotten. Okay, we will not forget the fallen. Cheating husband gets coronavirus on secret break to Italy with his mistress. I say we need to hold a 2-second silence for our fallen friends. For our fallen fellow species. Bechara, how did he have to explain that one? He's like, well, I mean, if he held on to it for a while, he could have pretended he just got it from his neighbors here, but... Right, so... Fun and games, people, fun and games. Right, so this is what's going on, the whole corona thing. And I'm going to speak about this today, the whole coronavirus. I'm going to speak about the rulings. I'm going to speak about the masjids. I'm going to speak about the funerals. I'm going to speak about the burial, cremation, the ikhtilaf of the ulama. It's all going down, people. It's all going down. Now, in addition to that, in the masala segment, we'll take a look at some, mashallah, mulvis who are handling this situation with their genius advice on what to do. Amongst them, so we're going to have one who is referring to the ghulam, the ghulam Mustafa are not afraid of this virus. A virus, not a virus, but a virus. And then we're going to be looking at some of our American counterparts, including Hamza Maqbool Saab. Those of you that know him, who's been advising as well on how to handle these catastrophes. With advice that makes zero sense, by the way, but still, that's in the masala segment. So, some guy said, this guy isn't normal. Who is normal? I mean, the world is on lockdown. The world isn't normal. I mean, the world has gone crazy, people. The world has gone crazy. Can we please talk about your girlfriends? You know, my girlfriend? Huh? My girlfriend? You naughty. Bilal ji. Mufti Saab, can you say hello to my little sister Zahra? She's watching you. Salman. Zahra ji, ahlan wa sahlan. All right, marhaban to this show. This is it is unrestricted, I'm afraid, this show, so it is beyond the watershed. So and generally people are meant to be asleep by now. It's only the damned souls that are awake watching this. Mufti, do you know Sheikh Muhammad Aslam? I do know Sheikh Muhammad Aslam. Right, so very, very good, mashallah, pious brother, local brother from Birmingham. I actually know Sheikh Aslam. When I say know, as in know him in a friendly way. I mean, we don't hang out so much and stuff like that. Not in a bad, it's not something bad. It's just that, you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, am I, to hang out with. I'm slightly eccentric, as some people said. I'm slightly crazy. So, although Sheikh Aslam, I've known him probably about 2 decades now. Yeah, when I was in my late teens, I think we met at an Arabic class. Allah, see how everybody is connected if you go back far enough. So I remember Sidi Deen used to teach us in here in Birmingham. It was by Gamkol Sharif. Next to it, there used to be this. That time it was City College. Now I don't know what the college is going to be called. But so we used to do Arabic. Sheikh Aslam was also. He used to come to those classes. I used to go there. Sheikh Amjad Mahmoud, he used to go there. Sheikh al-Qawm, my good friend Tariq, used to go there. It's amazing. Obviously, back then we were kind of still strangers amongst ourselves. Our journeys were yet still to unfold in front of us. But it was interesting times. So, what is going on, people? What is going on? Have you been to Ace Cafe? I've been there. I mean, I don't that much hang out in cafes. We have a local spot where we just chill. Usually, Alam Rock, the Rock kind of kebab house, or one of those, and that's now shut down. So this is where the government kind of made it personal. You see, I don't. That was normally where I chill or I go to the gym, and now they shut both of these places down. This is just reminding me of being in prison. It's bang up, people. It's bang up. 22-hour bang up, bang bang. That's it. All right. How old I'm old, people. Ab to budhape mein pahunch gaye. I must be what now? 41. I'm बुढ़ापे में हैं यार. हम तो ज़्यादा उम्र तो गुजर गई है हमारी. Most of this life we've spent it already on this globe. It's the young'uns, and when we look at the young'uns, we think there's no chance. Right, so that's what's going down, huh? That's what's going down. Hoping you see this. Saying, hoping you see this regarding Insta. Regarding. Go on then. Un momento. Let me see. add you as a moderator. I've got a few moderators now anyway, but Frowdy Frubry's on there, but other people as well. I look 28. You see, it's weird because I kind of feel like I would actually say that. I feel like you reach a certain age, and although you continue to grow, maybe mentally, and obviously you continue to age as well, but you kind of feel that you've just stopped at a certain place. Like you don't feel. What's really interesting is years ago, probably about 10 years ago, I remember chatting to a friend who had turned 40 at the time. And I was probably about 30, just about that, if not late 20s. And so I remember speaking to him, and he said to me, it's strange in my mind. I feel like if you ask me, I'd think, am I not still 27, 28? And it's interesting, I can kind of now, being at that age, I can understand what he meant. That you kind of just freeze in your mind. I mean, it's not, age is a good thing. I think, you gain experience, you enhance your learning, you learn so much. I mean, every single day. I would not want to. If I'm to real talk, I think the only thing that's scary is the thought. I mean, in terms of health, I don't know a lot. I mean, right now there's a plague around the world, but put that aside, I would say personally, in terms of health, I'm probably at a very good stage, relatively, in all I've seen in my life. But that's not the issue. I think there's a kind of fear that a person, you do think, I suppose, as you get older, you start to think more, I suppose, about death. You start to kind of, I think you fear frailty, even though you may not be frail, you may not be weak, but I think it starts to become, the concept of it becomes a bit more real. So you start to think about it like, whoa. I think you fear as well, like I said, the thought of death or the thought of dying. Or not, I don't know whether, I suppose dying as well. But maybe how you die is more scary. The thought of it. You're thinking, well, jana to sabko hai. Everybody's got to go. But is it how? Is it like, I think that's a bit. So these kind of things you end up thinking about. That said, I think I used to think about these kind of things anyway for a while. But somebody said, Mufti, you're ignoring the questions, any. You're ignoring the questions, any. Any, ignoring the questions, any. Right, so somebody said, tomorrow my father will be buried. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah make things easy for your family. Mani Rollman. Okay. It is a difficult time for people, I think, this whole thing. Mufti, are you ignoring my questions? Stayed up all night to ask you. Hi. Ye betabi. Right, let me check what my Facebook gente are saying. You can post your question. I'm watching. Yeah, I'm right here. Zebaji, you're doing it. Did you take an oath to become an imam? No, I didn't take an oath to become an imam. I graduated. Right, so there's different terms, just to clarify. The term imam is often used for people who lead people in prayer. In America, they tend to use the term imam more often to refer to sheikhs as well, like scholars. Imams are kind of scholars, but they don't have to be full-on kind of scholars, if you like, as in that trained. They just have to be enough to lead people in prayer. So in the UK, people don't tend to use the term imam as much for a scholar. They do here and there. There are some people who refer to themselves as imams, or people refer to them as imams, and it's fine. I'm just giving an example. That's all. You have sheikh, which is an honorific title for a scholar. You have Maulana. Then you have a kind of a technical qualification, which is called being a Mufti. So it's post kind of graduate, post being a scholar. So you have to be a scholar first, then you have to train to give fatwa. And fatwa is an Islamic ruling, and that's what makes you a Mufti. So, so people who think I just sit here, they think, yeah, he just sits in front of books. But you have to train. So my studies were probably about 8 years, something like that. In total, I mean, they were in slightly different institutes doing slightly different things, but at the end, so you have to take several tests, you have to study the entire, obviously the books of Sharia, then we had to study the books of Hadith cover to cover. That made us I'm just realizing that it's giving desktop feedback. Right, shouldn't be doing that. Right, so it gave us, we had to be tested on hadith books cover to cover, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, all these kind of hadith books, Tirmidhi, Muwatta. And then you become an alim, a scholar. And then after that, you have 2 years of training as a Mufti, where you have to give rulings, take questions, go through the whole things. Yeah, so that's a bit of my background. Cool. What is going on, people? Does blood rushing to your arms from sadl enlarge those biceps? The Malikis in Salah, they pray with their hands at the side, or they can fold them. To be fair, I more often than not fold them, but I do sadl as well occasionally. But generally, I tend to do qabd. I tend to kind of fold my arms. But a lot of my friends and students do sadl. Right, so can handle desires. What's the question? Right, so wait there. Un momento, people, un momento. What is the Facebook people saying? Why have their chats kind of disappeared momentarily? Let me see, is it coming back? Those of you, Mufti, your skin looks airbrushed. Does it? What? It's the angels. Allah, it's the angels airbrushing it. Do you think that the Lord doesn't watch over me? Allah, 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 Allah. Right, so Robin is saying she can't wait for the virus stuff to disappear so she can go back to Morocco. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure the whole world, we can't really wait for this to be over. I think we don't need to panic. I'm going to speak about that in just a moment. Will you make a comprehensive video about what you believe the Djinn actually is? Or do you believe the most common belief of being spirits, or more like germs, atoms, unseen physical matter? Somebody said, don't touch your face. I've already had the coronavirus. I'm more than certain I've already had it. Now I think I'm pretty much coming up to about 14 days, is it? Pretty much. Yeah, so I've had it more or less. It wasn't that bad. But I mean, it just fevered up a bit, and a bit of a headache on one side, a bit of sinus pain, that's it. Slight cough, nothing too much. But yeah, it was just annoying. Right, so what's going on? People, Mufti, your skin is beautiful. Shukran. See, the beauty is in your eyes, people. The beauty is in your eyes. That's what it is. Right, it's the noor on your face. Right, now that Boris has removed weddings, can we cohabit, bro? I don't know, Abdul Alim. I won't lie if I said that the thought hasn't crossed my mind before, but I was just waiting for you to ask, bro. I mean, I didn't realize we were going to do this right here on on live, on a live broadcast. But now that you ask, right. So, 27 Pam, room 3041. Is it relatable to the room? What does that mean? Room 3041. Oh, room. You mean Suratul Rum about the Romans? I'm reading the word room like ROOM. Thinking room 30. What happens in room 30? Is that like this relatable to the pandemic? Let's see. I'll take a look. Let's take a look. Dervish viral bronchitis. Your thoughts on the Zahiri fiqh and the legend Ibn Hazm. I really am a huge fan of I disagree, but a huge fan of Ibn Hazm. I do love his audacity to challenge things. And in that, I'm inspired by so many different people. I don't have a particular just one solitary icon. And so I'd like to say something about this, that sometimes these people will say that, oh, Mufti, who does he take these opinions from? And I think, what is it, Asrar had said in one of his videos that I take my opinions from some Maulana who I'd never heard of. Oh my God, I want to actually, you know what, next week I'll share a clip. I had to YouTube who this Maulana was. His name is Khizar Hayat. He's got a Khizar Hayat something, Bakhtiari, but there is a, but I'll get his name. And he's like a hard line, proper Deobandi, proper, big beard, scruffy look, very serious. And Asrar was telling in one of his broadcasts that this is like Mufti's, as in mine, Abu Layth's inspiration, where I steal all my views from. I was like, cha. Same to same, huh? Same to same. Right. It's like I was once years ago when I used to live in Karachi when I used to study. So I remember going to this marketplace to get some cloth for clothes, and this guy was there. He turns up with this kind of like a creamish kind of color, and he says, "Have you got any cloth with this color?" And the guy just throws this other color, which is completely different. I mean, it's like a kind of whitish color, but it's so different from this. And he goes yellow, and the guy goes, "Nahi yaar, ye to not this doesn't match." He goes, "Kya baat kar rahe ho yaar?" He goes, "Same to same. I'm just standing there thinking, what the hell? Same to same. Honestly, you gotta love their selling techniques. So the guy, he was trying to sell me some clothes. I just remembered it now. And he goes to me, he goes, "Yaar, this cloth, you want to buy this material?" So I said, and he goes, nah. He goes, "Isme ye hai, it's like this, it's the best, it's the latest, it's this." And then he goes, "Acha, sabse maze ki baat batao, sabse maze ki baat. Shall I tell you the best thing about this?" So I go, "Okay, what is it? What's the best thing about this material?" He goes, "Isko jitna pehnoge, utna zyada maza aayega." I just thought, wow, what? He goes, "This cloth, the more you're gonna wear it, the more you're gonna love it. That's the best feature about this cloth." I just thought, okay, that's just like a completely non-substantiable, like you can never substantiate that claim. But yeah, so anyway, let's get back to some of these. Yeah, so he said, I wanted to say, somebody posted the name here. Khizar Hayat Bakrawi. That's it. Now, this person, nothing, I doubt maybe there's one or two views, obviously, that this person may share with me, but I doubt it that this person, he seems so traditional. And what I wanted to say is these people say that where does Mufti get his views from? And this is because these people are so alien to original thought. Like, to them, it's inconceivable that I can actually have ideas because they can't relate to that. You see, because almost every single opinion that these people have had, it's been given to them. That's just a sad state of affairs, that every opinion you've had, it's been given to you. That's disappointing, man. I mean, but this is why they say, oh, you know, Mufti, where does he get his opinions from? He gets them from. So Asrar was saying something about he copies them all from Urdu and he tells them to you guys without telling you, and you guys think they're his own opinions. But I mean, don't get me wrong, there are certain opinions. Obviously, I will be inspired by the people, but I have so many of my thoughts and opinions are my opinions. But it's just that these people can't fathom creative or original or just personal thought. All right, so Inaya, shukran. What is my skin routine? My skin routine. I've got no. I mean, I do take a lot of supplements. I'm a bit of a supplement junkie, so I do take a lot of vitamins and supplements. I take things like L-glutamine every day. I take vitamin B complex, vitamin D. I'll take things like zinc, ZMA. I'll take stuff like fish oils. I take a lot of this stuff like every day. Like I split up a batch in the morning when I wake up and a batch before I go to sleep. So I do take quite a few. There's several there's things in this that kind of reduce cholesterol, so there's a bunch of stuff. I don't know if it works, doesn't work. Allahu a'lam, Allah a'lam. So I do take collagen as well. So right, if Prophet Abraham was blinded, folded at time of sacrificing, his wife and child weren't, your thoughts on how the son was replaced with the lamb? This is a very fascinating question. Dervish, you're doing it, akhi. Those of you, by the way, that do want to, I am reading your questions. I'm on Facebook and on, YouTube as well. So do feel free to post them. Sometimes they do kind of rapidly go past me, and so I am trying to kind of read as many as I can. You can always, if you want to support it, send a super chat. Inaya, no, I did see your super chat. Apology. You know what it is? Sometimes I'm talking and it kind of these things, obviously, it's winding up quite fast. Right. So. What was I talking about now? Yeah, there's a question on Ibrahim alayhi salam, which I think is really fascinating. Shukran, Claire, once somebody said Mufti Abu Layth swears, then he swore when I said he's Mufti Abu Layth swears. It's not that. It's not that I want to swear, but it's just that these people don't listen otherwise. You know what it is? It's just that if you don't speak to them in that way, no, I'm joking, people, I'm joking. See, one is swearing at people, one is just in between. That's different, I don't swear on this show. Right, so let's talk about this question. This is an interesting question of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Abraham, and the sacrifice. You see, in the Quran, Allah does not actually say that He told Ibrahim alayhi salam to sacrifice his son. Now, although many Muslims are of the opinion that Allah told him, it doesn't actually say that in the Quran. What it says is that the son, whether it was Ismail or Ishaq, a difference of opinion, but the son says, Inni ara fil manam, that I see in a dream that you are sacrificing me. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam interprets that because generally, and Ibrahim alayhi salam himself didn't have the dream. It's his son who has the dream that that he is being sacrificed, and that is what is needed. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, upon hearing that, is very intimidated because he doesn't want to. He thinks that's not what he wants to do, and he doesn't want to even go down that thought process. But his son, the sacrificial son, he says that, like, do this. If'al ma tu'mar, like, do what you are being commanded. I will be patient. And thereby kind of persuades Ibrahim alayhi salam in that this is what God has commanded of you. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is reluctant to do that. Now, even though momentarily Ibrahim alayhi salam, for those moments, for that time period, short time period, Ibrahim alayhi salam does think that, okay, maybe that is the commandment, because in that time people were doing these kind of things. When Ibrahim alayhi salam goes with his son, whether it was Ismail or Ishaq, and for this, that is this the test then? Is this what God is testing me with? Allah, and when we say Allah sets about a lamb, it doesn't mean that the lamb comes out of thin air, but the lamb appears, and then Ibrahim alayhi salam realizes that actually this is not, and then he receives kind of divine revelation, whether you want to say that's intuitively or however he receives it, that this is not what I'm meant to be. What I'm to do is just sacrifice a lamb, and that's all it is. So it's interesting that but Allah does not say in the Quran anywhere that He told Ibrahim alayhi salam to sacrifice his son. So that's an interesting thing. Although that said, that has become the mainstream story that Muslims have kind of generally gone with. Cool. But that is my understanding as well, that is my understanding, that Ibrahim alayhi salam was not divinely instructed to sacrifice his son, although that is what the dream was. And he understood that dream. The son definitely understood it to mean you have to sacrifice me. And then Ibrahim alayhi salam is then eventually persuaded that maybe that's what I have to do. And then he receives divine intuition that that's not what I'm meant to do. So that's in my understanding. But the story is about that even in those moments where he is convinced, where he is persuaded that, okay, I'll sacrifice my son, that he wanted a son for so long. I mean, he receives a son in old age, and then eventually the thought, like, he's distraught by the thought that I have to sacrifice a son for God. But his kind of commitment to God is so compelling that he eventually kind of says, okay, I'll do it. But even though, you know, it's an insurmountable task. So it's kind of this the kind of moral that you take from the story is about it's not is that you should sacrifice people. That's not what it is. But about a hardship, even if it's at a conceptual level, but the willingness to persevere and commit to God. That is the moral of the story. Okay. Inaya has asked, Muslim friend married Christian, is it wrong? I've got a very detailed video on that where I do explain that Muslims and non-Muslims, people of the book, can intermarry, although the general Muslim culture has been not to. But according to the clear rulings, if you look simply in the Quran, and I go into much detail, I think it's like a half an hour clip or maybe about 40 minutes. It's worth watching. So I'm not going to do it justice here just quickly in like 1 minute. But yeah, so do check that out. But the gist of it, I do explain that I feel it is permissible. It's not like as in the act, the contract of nikah would not be invalid. Whether it would be recommended by the Sharia or not is a different discussion, but would the contract be invalid? And that's what I kind of discussed there. Right, so what's going on? Do you still... Right, are you an atheist? No, I'm not an atheist. Somebody had asked, is it tea or coffee? Today it's coffee. I was like, yeah, chalo, coffee. Right, so we're going to move on to, what's your advice on coronavirus? We're going to move on to coronavirus. Here you go, Mufti. Take my money. Yusuf ji, sharminda karte hain aap yaar. Embarrassing me, this one. I'm joking. Shukran. Much love. Those of you who do support my thing, my effort, my cause, much love. Why not? It's the way I see. Subhanallah. The way people have treated the deen and they treat it as business, it's preposterous. And I'm going to come on to the coronavirus taweez later on in the masala segment. The people selling taweez, which is an amulet, or commonly, I mean, it is actually ta'aweed. You can refer to them as that as well. Sorry, what's flex? Right. So, do you deem Imam Abu Hanifa... Right, okay, I'll come to these questions. Somebody asked, Ustad Nouman Ali Khan got married last week. Were you invited? No, yaar, it's... No, I was not invited, man. No, I think that was a bit of a low key, which fair enough. Why not? If he wants to get married. It's probably the sensible thing to do. When all else fails, there's... I think what's going to happen with this quarantine is... I think there's going to be two things. One, there's going to be a surge in pregnancies. And two, there's going to be a surge in divorces. People are going to have to put up with each other. They're going to be like, what the... Who the... Why are you still here? Hi, Mufti. Did you miss the Djinn question earlier? Kapil Patel. Right, okay, that's an interesting question on the Djinn. What do I think the Djinn are? The Djinn mean in Arabic something unseen. Do I feel that the Djinn are like these kind of demons floating around, kind of these fiery, smoky figures? And I don't feel that personally. That's not how I think the Djinn are, or the unseen organisms, so to speak. It may be that they exist at a very kind of molecular level. It may be that there's other, whether that it could be. I know Sheikh Rashid Rida was of the opinion that it was like viruses and things like this. Could be, but I mean, but then I don't want to kind of flip out into this mode of saying coronavirus is a Djinn, because that's not what. But it's not what I believe like that. But maybe I don't know. I mean, is it just some kind of force existence in the cosmos at a very kind of subatomic level that we can't really see? Is it something like that? I don't know, but what I don't believe is that it's this kind of smoky, fiery character with horns and just kind of floating around. I don't believe that. What's your views? A lot of questions by November Foxtrot. Oh, bloody hell, look at the amount of questions. God damn. Somebody's definitely in quarantine. Abdul, somebody said, why don't you answer my question, Jinny? Why you answer my question, man? Why you answer my question? Sir, people, Farhan, only Jinn that matter is Jinn spelt with G. In the words of Ghalib, हमें क्या बुरा था मरना अगर एक बार होता. You know, and John Elia said bar here doesn't mean one occasion, where Ghalib said, why does it bother me about dying? Like, why would death bother us if it was simply just on one occasion? Meaning that the lover, the lover dies 1,000 deaths. That's what he was trying to say. But bar, which means time, like one time, two times, like that in Urdu, ek bar, do bar. Here, John Elia says that bar meant bar, like a drinking alcohol bar. That why would we bother? Why would it? You know, what's the problem in dying if simply we knew there was going to be a bar? Ghalib would be blasphemous today. Yeah, I think he was blasphemous by these people's standards in his own day and age. Henna G, is the HT World? Oh, is that Henna? Is that you from Facebook? You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it. All right, much respect and love right back at you. Wouldn't you say the Quran speaks of 61 refers to the return of Isa? No, there's no such verses in the Quran about Isa alayhi salam. Urdu poetry does cut to the heart. That reminds me, I've got a little poem here somewhere, and then we'll move on to the coronavirus discussion as well, people. We'll move on. I came across this of Faraz, and I thought, you know what? I thought, I've got to share this with people. Right. Folks, check this out. This, honestly, it really... the problem is sometimes translating, it kind of kills the vibe. But so let's see. बरसों के बाद देखा एक शख्स दिल रुबा सा, अब जहन में नहीं है पर नाम था भला सा. Allah, Allah, Allah. This is just starting. So he's saying that, you know, after a while I saw somebody that was so easy on the eyes, a darling person, dil ruba sa. And then the way he says it, I love the way he says this, that ab zehn mein nahi hai, par naam tha bhala sa. That, and he's almost doing it intentionally, that, you know, I don't quite recall the name, but it was a good name. There's a subtlety in that, I gotta say. Really, it hits you. That अबरू खींचे खींचे से आंखें झुकी झुकी सी, बातें रुकी रुकी सी, लहजा थका थका सा. पहले भी लोग आए कितने ही जिंदगी में, वो हर तरह से लेकिन औरों से था जुदा सा. अगली मोहब्बतों ने वो नामुरादियां दी, नामुरादियां, those things that you couldn't obtain. ताज़ा रफ़ाक़तों से dil tha dara dara sa. That when it come to making new acquaintances, my heart was frightened. Allah, due to the past experiences and tragedies. कुछ ये के मुद्दतों से हम भी नहीं थे रोए, कुछ जहर में बुझा था अहबाब का दिलासा, फिर यूं हुआ के सावन आंखों में आ बसे थे. Allah, Allah. And then it happened, people, the monsoon periods, the seasons, they preoccupied the eyes. फिर यूं हुआ के जैसे दिल भी था आबला सा. Ab sach kahe to yaro. You know, this line really hit me, especially with the corona thing going on. He says, Ab sach kahe to yaro, humko khabar nahi thi. Ban jayega qiyamat, ek waqiya zara sa. Allah, Allah, Allah. That he says, if I'm to be honest, my friends, mi amigos, he says the truth is that we simply had no idea that such an incident would end up becoming such a calamity. Ab sach kahein to yaro, humko khabar nahi thi. Ban jayega qiyamat, ek waqiya zara sa. तेवर थे बेरुखी के अंदाज दोस्ती के वो अजनबी था लेकिन लगता था आशना सा हमने भी उसको देखा कल शाम इत्तिफाकन अपना भी हाल है अब लोगों फराज का सा. I love Faraz, honestly. Honestly, his poetry is amazing. I'm just wowed by his poetry. I read that and I thought, I got to share that with you guys. It's seriously, and that line definitely hit me. Sach kahe to yaro humko khabar nahi thi. It's such humility, but awe-striking humility in accepting sometimes just reality and just recognizing that you didn't know. Sach kahe to yaro humko khabar nahi thi. Ke ban jayega qiyamat ek waqiya zara sa. And that is the summary of COVID-19. That's what some guy said as he bit into a bat. He went, yeah, 2020, my year, yeah. Let's do this, yeah. And little did he know that civilizations were to collapse with that one bite. History was being made. Right, let's take a look at. Somebody had asked. My friends tell me I should be a narrator. Sure, why not? Why not? Somebody said, this is the first time I'm catching you live. Husamuddin, ahlan wa sahlan bik, ahlan wa sahlan. That's it, people. Ahlan wa sahlan. Why not, people? Why not? What else are you going to do? ماذا ستفعلون في هذه الأوقات المعطلة? You're going to be in quarantine, so what else will you do? Your views on Javed Ghamidi Sahib. I've said before on many occasions that I absolutely love Javed Ghamidi Sahib. I think he has very similar views to me. He's the kind of, obviously he's Urdu speaking, so it's really just for the Urdu speaking world, but he is a sensible version of what to present someone when when you want to give them some of my views. When somebody says, what do you think of this view? Like, I don't know, jinn possession or magic, or I don't know, the age of Aisha, or the second coming of Jesus, or not. When you want to talk about these things and you say, well, here's this guy, Mufti Abu Layth, and they look at me and think, yeah, are you buzzing? So what you can do is give them a sensible version, which is, if they understand Urdu, a mature, sensible, civilized, presentable version, which is Allama Javed Ghamidi Sahib. I mean, I'm not sure if we entirely always agree with stuff, but I think definitely he, we is definitely on a similar kind of wavelength, and I love his kind of his views, his approach. I love his Urdu, very eloquent. I'm actually intrigued. He doesn't seem to quote poetry. I'm intrigued by that, actually. I wonder what, because I would have thought somebody with that level of Urdu would have loved poetry, but maybe he does love it, but he never seems to quote it, which is quite surprising. But yeah, and in Arabic, for those of you that speak Arabic, Sheikh Adnan Ibrahim is somebody similar kind of, like we share similar kind of thought patterns, similar ways of thinking, similar opinions. Once again, much more sensible than me. Me, I'm just like laughing my head off half the time. But these people are sensible people. They're the kind of versions that I should be behaving like. But अब क्या करें? In the as somebody once wisely said, सुधर तो सकते हैं, मगर जो और बिगड़ने में मजा है, वो सुधरने में कहाँ? As the wise sage Anil Kapoor once said, that we can, it's not that we can't fix up, but where's the fun in that? In doing that. Somebody asked that, is your Quran pakka? No, I mean, it always require effort. It always will, I guess. But, I mean, the Quran is a lifelong companion, inshallah. So, right. Somebody said Ghamidi Sahib writes poetry. Okay, I didn't know that. Are you in quarantine? I think the UK is in quarantine as of 25 minutes ago. The whole UK is in quarantine. To be fair, when I think about myself, I think I'm kind of really a contradiction, because in some ways I'm a very kind of extrovert person, but I can be an introvert as well. Like a lot of the times I will just stay home anyway. Like I just stay and I just get lost in my own world. Like I'll read something, I'll watch something, I end up binge watching TV series, I end up, I don't know, reading certain things and researching things, and it doesn't bother me. Like sometimes I haven't actually gone out for a few days, but I'm not saying that's always the case, but usually I will then go out to, like, let's say, meet up with the lads, with the mates, or at the gym, or things like this. So, but other than that, I don't get claustrophobic in, like if I just have to sit here, I won't kind of just freak out. Like, I don't know what people are going to do now. There's going to be prison all over again. Deja vu, people. Where's my Cody? All right. A big shout out going out to my childhood mate, who's probably not watching this, but Blindy, much love to you, yaar. Mwah. Love you, yaar. So, a friend since I was 5 years old, who I had to spend a few months, shall we say, very close with. But yeah. Right, Rad Siddiqui, what's got link with predictability? Link BW. Predictability in life and Allah. Between. Rad sent a super chat and he's saying link B-W. I mean, B kind of oblique W. And he's probably thinking, is Mufti a retard? Like, can't you understand that means between? I'm reading it as like black and white or BW. ये कौन सा genre है? Oh, how the mind wanders. I'm joking, yaar. I'm joking. Is there a link between predictability in life and Allah's will? Yeah, I mean, of course, the truth is that we just don't know Allah's will. We don't know Allah's will. But we know it once we've achieved or done. Once we've made the choice, it becomes clear. You see, things are always clear. Vision is 20/20 in the rear view mirror of life. When you're looking back, everything is 20/20. But it's just looking forward, we can't quite see it always. Jack says, Salam Mufti, is there such a hadith that states it is extremely sinful for a Muslim man to change his family surname, father's name? No, not at all. There's not. You see, the name thing I have answered before, that this really was an Arab thing. And amongst the Arabs, it was very important. having their names in that way, because that was their society, and if you didn't go in line with that society, you would never succeed. It's like one could argue in the West today, although that's arguable as well, but so in the West today, okay, how about this? In the West today, not having any kind of, like, not using any kind of digital credit, or not having a credit existence, an entity. So you've never had a credit card, you've never had kind of bank cards, it's very difficult for you to succeed. I mean, you might be able to, but it's very difficult in this society. I mean, it might work in a country like Pakistan, but it wouldn't work here. It's very difficult. Everything is digitalized. You need a credit validation. You need, I remember I had to get a credit card. I went to get hire a car once, and I was shocked. They wouldn't, they said, we need a credit card. I said, well, I don't, I'll give you a debit card. No, we need a credit card. And I was like, I'll pay cash. They said, no. I said, well, I'll leave the deposit as cash. They said, no, we need a credit card or no vehicle. I was like, wow. I was like, there's got to be a solution here. I said, you know what? I will pay the deposit that you want to kind of hold, and you can refund it once I return the car. And they said, no. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then after, I mean, to be fair, surprisingly, one of the workers, one of the staff people, this is with the benefits. He actually recognized me. the few occasions in life where being recognized actually helps you. And he said, oh, ain't you Mufti Abu Layth? I was like, oh, you nutty. So he had a word with his manager, and then he said he's all right. He's not going to run away with the car. And then they just gave me the car. But after that, I applied for credit cards because I realized, like, even if you're not going to use them, you need them for certain occasions in this part of the world. I mean, that was a few years, about 1.5 years back or something. But the point is that in the Arab society, a surname worked like that. Your father's name worked like that. Like, to us, we can't picture the world like that in that way. And by the way, Pakistanis, they are, the lot, they are just a parody when it comes to surnames. Surnames means nothing to us. It's just a filler. Like, our first names are surnames, surnames are first names. The children in one family have different surnames. The girls have a different surname. The guys between themselves might have different surnames. It's a joke. I mean, this means nothing in the Pakistani culture, so don't worry about it. All right, can we do online Jum'ah? No, but I think you can just pray, you can pray Dhuhr. It's no big deal. If that's Mufti, do you know who Uthman Bali is? I don't know who that is. Abs is saying, Mufti kaise ho? I'm good. What's that random desktop audio going off for? So, Mufti, what you telling me? I got no idea. What these people are saying. Right, people, if you got any questions, you can send them through. I tell you what, let's somebody said I'm having issues with BW1, BW2, and BW3. Well, now that you're quarantined, you're definitely going to have issues. They're going to get together and they're going to massacre you. What do you believe might be the logic behind Allah determining the timing for Judgment Day? Will human civilization have to reach a certain milestone? See, I don't know these things. Like, what about afterlife, in the sense, like, when will it happen? Do I feel that there will be an end to all of this? Of course. I feel that, creation like this won't just go on forever, indefinitely. Even science says that the universe at some point will implode on itself. I do agree with that, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. So we can take a breath. Um, someone here is asking how to convince the moderately practicing Hindu parents about Islam. Inaya has mentioned. You see, the thing, it's interesting because I don't know what it would take really to convince people. I think the voice of reason. If anything, I don't believe in a hardline approach. I believe that people need to see humanity. I think, in India, Muslims had a huge opportunity, but now Islam in India has become institutionalized. But before, they had a huge opportunity, especially with the caste system that the Indians had and the untouchable communities, the Achut, the Dalits, these kind of different people, and there's loads of Dalits and these subcastes, and nobody can touch them, nobody can drink from what they've drank, nobody can, they're not allowed in kitchen spaces of people, they're not allowed, and Islam had a huge role to play there. Wallahi, I feel sometimes that it's disappointing that Muslims, although they did obviously something, but they could have done a lot more there. In the power of humanity, of recognizing human beings, in empowering them, in ennobling them, honoring them, showing these people that they are just as human, that Muslims should have sat and eaten with these people, made a point of it as, brothers and sisters in humanity. That, I'm not saying right now with the coronavirus thing, but what I'm trying to say is generally they should have, and I know some people did, but they should have been much more of an emphasis on this. Because that is really the message is one of humanity. And then it is a message of reason. And that's all I would say. And I would never try to pressure people to embrace Islam. It's up to them. It's up to them. And Islam makes sense. It does. But Muslims, unfortunately, don't make sense sometimes. That's the unfortunate truth. Mufti Saab, who stole the Blackstone? It was the Qaramita who stole the Blackstone, and they stole it for about 22, 23 years, and they took it. The Qaramita were a kind of subfaction of the Fatimid dynasty, and not the dynasty, but the Fatimiyin. And the Fatimiyin were Ismailis, basically. I've been really reading into a lot of these recently. Very fascinating. But a branch of them that kind of breaks off, and they've all got issues amongst themselves, and the Fatimiyin, the Ismailis who are Shia, have issues with the rest of the Shia who have issues with them. Basically the main split between Sunnis and Shia is to do with who should have been the leader after the Prophet. So the Shia generally, not by and large, they all believe that it's to do with a holy bloodline. So they believe in a kind of bloodline system, that it comes through the bloodline of the Prophet. And this, in the past, was a very widespread belief that kings it's always the children, and it's a kind of, not like Sangreal, the Holy Grail, but rather the Sangreal, the holy bloodline or the royal bloodline. And they believed that with Fatima radiallahu anha and Hassan, Hussein, and it was always the children. And it was the children of Ali. And it was all about Ali radiallahu an and his children. And even though Ali is not from the Prophet's children, but he's the Prophet's cousin. So to them, it's all about that. And they reject the other companions in having any superiority over the bloodline of the Prophet. And then, obviously, they disagree in how much they reject them. Some might just reject them in saying, well, they're okay, but, they shouldn't have been leaders like the Zaydiyah. Some may say, well, some of them could have been. Sorry, Zaydiyah kind of accepts some as leaders, but they prefer Ali over Uthman. Some, and it's like a gradient. It kind of goes up right to some of them saying, well, they usurped the leadership from the bloodline, and therefore they are all sinful, and so on and so forth. And anybody who opposes Ali, they obviously hate anybody. They don't have a dislike for anybody who opposed Ali. And obviously that includes the wives of the Prophet and stuff like that. So that's the main split between Sunni Shia. Then it comes down, you see, in the holy bloodline of the Shia Imams. When it reaches Ja'far as-Sadiq, who is you see, it's going to go from Ali to, there'll be Hassan, but there will be Hussein, and then there'll be Hussein's son Zain al-Abidin, and then there'll be Muhammad al-Baqir, then there'll be Ja'far as-Sadiq. Now, when it reaches Ja'far, and this is like the time of Imam Malik and Imam Abu Hanifa, etc., he has a son who is Ismail. But what happens is normally it's the elder son who takes the leadership. Now, Ismail dies. According to certain narrations, he does die. According to others, he was alive, went into hiding. I don't know, but they disagree. But they say he dies before the other son, who was Musa. Now, the issue is that the Ismailiyah say that he was the prophesized son, Ismail, and not Musa al-Kadhim. So the normal Shia follow through Musa, then from Musa al-Kadhim, Ali al-Rida, and then it goes on to their 12th Imams. They call the 12 Shias. The Ismailis say that Ismail, his son Muhammad, Ismail kind of like, obviously, according to many narrations, had died in that lifetime. They say his son, Muhammad, is the true successor, and it carries on from him. And Musa and Muhammad, these two Imams, had rivalry between themselves. So Muhammad ibn Ismail, he actually, according to certain narrations, has Musa al-Kadhim imprisoned and things like this. And I don't know, which version is true, but the Shia between themselves disagree on. They don't consider them to be good people. So Musa al-Kadhim kind of followers will not necessarily look favorably upon Muhammad ibn Ismail, because they say that he's an imposter and so on, and they will say that Musa al-Kadhim was an imposter and he usurped the leadership from. But it's from Muhammad ibn Ismail that later on you get this whole Fatimid dynasty, and then the split further into these other sects. So the Qaramita were this Ismaili kind of Shia, and they set up a dynasty that kind of lasted for several decades, a few decades anyway, and it was the world's first, or in documented history, communist state. And they actually had an actual communist state where the state owned everything. The state rationed out, it gave food, it rationed out properties. It was an absolute communist state. And I find that so fascinating. Not that I find communist states fascinating, but the concept that, wow, that Muslims actually tried this. And, from a historical viewpoint, it'd be awesome to study that, just to see what happened. And obviously it spanned for about 20 years or something, and then it collapsed. But it was a huge empire as well. It wasn't just something that was from Bahrain right up to parts of the Middle East. It wasn't when I say huge, it wasn't just like a tiny little village or a town or a city. It was substantial. And they then stole the Blackstone, and they smashed the Blackstone as well. Some say in 7 pieces for the 7 Imams that they believed in. And some say it was an accident. And it was after 22 years or something that it was retrieved. Right, so that's in brief. What are some of the metaphors used in the Quran? There are metaphors in the Quran, Zeba. I'll come to some of them. I've seen a video on this before by eat Zabiha, or is meat in countries like USA and UK okay to consume? Right, let me just take those 2 questions. Right, so So I'll take a look at these 2 questions, and let's start the coronavirus discussion. All right, people. So are there metaphors in the Quran? There are metaphors in the Quran. Metaphors like Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Obviously, this is symbolism. Allah is not, we're not saying He is the photons per se. We know the light is coming from, like, let's say, from our solar star. It's coming like that in that sense. But so what's understood is symbolism. There are other metaphors in the Quran as well, where things like where Allah explains in certain stories things like Musa alayhi salam, when he's speaking about the wall about to fall, and he describes it as the wall wanted, فَوَجَدَ جِدَارًا يُرِيدُ أَن يَنْقَض. They found a wall that wanted to fall. Obviously, walls don't want things, but this is metaphorical speech. It happens. And there's other ones, وَاسْأَلُوا الْقَرْيَةَ الَّتِي كُنَّا فِيهَا. Why don't you ask the village we were in? Obviously, what is meant by the village is the inhabitants of the village. And like this, there's many kind of metaphors that are used in the Quran. Although people may disagree on they may agree on some, like the wall wanting to fall, everybody would accept that, but on others they may disagree. So does God have body parts, for example? So most Muslims would say these are metaphors. Others may take it literally in an anthropomorphized kind of manner. Right, the question on Zabiha, I will do a more detailed thing on this. Zabiha, my understanding, has with time evolved as well. I do feel that Zabiha meat is important. I feel that there's two layers to its significance. There's the primary layer and the secondary layer. The primary layer is it was in distinction to the pagan worship. The secondary layer, so people were offering these sacrifices to their gods, and this was to demarcate, to make very clear a distinction that we are offering it to God. It's not to pagan gods. The secondary layer was an identitarian thing. It was an identity thing. So obviously the first, Allah says, that these things have been, these things have been made haram for you, and these things have been made halal, and He'll mention وَمَا أُهِلَّ بِهِ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ, and what has been sacrificed, and وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا, and do not eat from those things that Allah's name has not been said over, and so on and so forth. But then you've got a certain hadith where the Prophet is saying things like, where the Prophet is saying that who is the Muslim? The Muslim is the person man istaqbala qiblatana, faces our qibla, salla salatana, prays our salah, wa akala dhabihatana, and eats our dhabiha meat. So it's an identity thing as well. So I feel that the first layer, the primary objective, I don't think exists too much really in this day and age. Because I think most people have stopped sacrificing to pagan gods. It's to gods at all. It's only Muslims who sacrifice to God, and Jews, and by and large, maybe there may be one or two odd people, kind of small cultures, but by and large, the world has kind of stopped doing that. So the primary objective, I feel, isn't as much there, but the secondary one still is. It is still an identity issue. It is still something that creates a bonding and binds together Muslims worldwide. But I think this requires a much deeper discussion, and I will speak on that on another time. Cool. So, right. Let's take a look. Why do people think it's okay to flirt with Mufti when he's married? I'm married many a times. Huh? Oh, dagger coming. Is my tea going to be poisoned? Cyanide? Don't worry. It's all right. I can handle it, man. I can handle the. Right. Let's take a look. And by the way, they're not flirting. Relax, people. Relax. Please don't police people on my. Yaar, khamkha. Khamkha padda kar rahe hain yahan pe. I'm joking. Right, let's take a look. Right, so. Right. What did I want to speak about? What were some of these issues on the coronavirus? right now, right now, please don't have some beef in the chat, please. Focus on what I'm about to say. So, people, let's talk about this COVID-19. So, just everybody now worldwide, everybody should know what this is, people. This virus is basically this is SARS-CoV-2. So those who ain't familiar with that, that is a severe acute respiratory symptoms virus. So and it's the coronavirus second strain, second kind of, because there was the SARS before that had happened. Now, the way this, just to kind of explain a bit about very briefly about this virus per se, a bit of science talk. What is this virus? Because it may then also help in when we discuss some of the other things, or maybe for your own understanding. So this is obviously, as everybody knows, being discovered in December. They say the first case in Wuhan, China. Now that means it must have been around since at least November, if it's discovered early December. Now this virus since then has mutated. It has so viruses mutate anyway. The way this virus particularly works is that it's an RNA virus, so which is similar to kind of like DNA. It's the kind of genome structure. So a lot of virologists and scientists have been looking at this phylogenetically, rather. So they've been looking at the base structure, and what you have is it has a genetic base structure of anything, a strand of anything between 26,000 to 30, maybe 2,000 base pairs in its strain. So and what that simply means is, like, think of it like your kind of genetic coding. So the way we've got human beings, I mean, we would have something, our genome structure in that sense would be something like 3 billion plus. And this virus has its RNA. It's different to DNA. For those of you that are, basically, there's some key differences. One is, not always, but often, RNA is usually singular, DNA is double, although this can also have double strands. Another key difference is that the kind of energy, the sugar base that provides it, this usually is ribose, and that is deoxyribose. People, and another structure is another key important difference is that this it's one of the kind of base what they call a here you go. Here we go. I'm not flirting. So the point is that this is similar to DNA, but it's different. But you can search that. Now, this mutates over time, as viruses do. Now, we know that it has mutated. So there's been certain studies done by two key faculties in China, Shanghai and Beijing. They've done studies on over 100 samples, about 103 samples at least, where they found that the virus had actually mutated. So there was an original strand that they're calling the S strand, and then it's kind of mutated along the way into this L strand. So there are these two kind of strands out there. Now, the mutation is so what's happened, it's only on a couple of kind of base pairs, but the point is, what it does is, those of you that have seen the picture of the coronavirus, is this kind of ball with all these spikes, protein spikes. It's basically made those spikes much more effective in being caught in our cells. So on our cells, we have these enzyme kind of cells called ACE2 receptors. Rather, think Mufti just sits here. Think I blagged my science degree. Acha, acha, acha. So what these protein spikes do is they get trapped and catch into our kind of ACE2 receptor cells. A virus then gets inside, and that's where it reproduces. A virus otherwise is useless. It can't just reproduce just like that. It's not like bacteria. It needs to get into your cell to reproduce. So the L strain, the mutated strain, seems to have been much more effective in doing that. So what that means is it can be much more transmittable. It's much more communicable. It's much more, you can catch it, and it's virulent much more, okay, in that sense, the transmission of it. Now, the interesting thing is most the studies have shown, or the kind of analyses, sorry, of the reports have shown that in Wuhan, 70% of the people that they were testing, they found it to be of the L strain, which is the very much more virulent one, the much more kind of catchy one, if you like, and they've termed it aggressive as well, but Allahu A'lam. Now, what seems to be more so around the world is the original one, the S strain, seems to be much more behind the pandemic, although both are out there as well. So the L strain is out there, but the S strain seems to be much more what is behind the pandemic. Now, it's important, I think, sometimes to know a bit about this, since it's since it's affecting all of our lives. What the hell, we might as well know something about it. But so this has now triggered the quite a few Islamic issues, because the whole world is going into lockdown. It's triggered issues like, first of all, masjids. We're locking down public places, we're locking down masjids. So some Muslims have got quite sentimental over this. They've said, that, oh my God, why are we locking? And there's quite a few videos of people crying over this. That, oh my God, the masjid walls will miss us. I mean, I want to remind these people that a masjid is not a sentient being. Okay, relax, yaar. It's like, this is where you kind of like, oh, you're overdoing it with the drama. It's like, relájate, tranquilo. Right? It's not, this is not something to kind of go so dramatic about, okay, that the masjids. I mean, when you look at the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ would say to people, you know what? It's raining, so pray at home. Nobody come to the masjid. Ala sallu fi rihalikum. Pray at home. Oh my God, the masjid's abandoned. Oh my God. It's only rain. I mean, this was the thing about in the Prophet's time. They were just real and natural. They weren't so dramatic. Like, oh my God, the masjid's abandoned. It's like, calm down, mate. The hadith says that there's nothing special about a mosque per se. It's a piece of land. The hadith says, جُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا. The whole earth is a masjid. So, first of all, the dramatization needs to come down. People need to take it down a few notches. Some people were like, no, come to the masjid, ignore these bans, ignore these people. And then they've fallen sick. Or people they've known have fallen sick. And this is the irresponsible nature that you're having of these kind of things. It's unfortunate, but gone are the days that people were... much more kind of sensible and ilmi and academic about things. And the imams we have today are just just about beating their chests. Oh, virus! The virus can't do nothing to me any. And jab paar ke chhod degi, it's like the virus. Look, calm down, because look, it's true, the virus in and of itself, to the outright majority of the people, it's not going to do much to us, right? So it's going to be like a cold, it's going to be like a flu, maybe a fever, headache, and we'll be over. But the thing is, we are then carriers for a certain period of time, and it's much more communicable. It's much more, it's transmission, it's much more kind of infectious. So the way, if you imagine it, I was watching a particular professor, I think his name was Hugh Montgomery, explaining it, that he said if you consider a normal flu that you could infect, let's say your infection rate is 1.3 people, if you could take that as a fraction on average, and then they infect 1.3 people, etc. He said this is like it would infect 3 people. Okay, and they refer to this generally as the RO. But the point is that this, now you might think, well, 3 people ain't that much, but each 3, it's exponential growth. And within certain layers, it had already reached, in his, when he's working it out, 59,000 or something. And it's shocking. It's like, whoa. And to think that this one person began and is responsible for those 59,000. So the issue is those people that it does affect, they can't handle it. Those people that it affects severely, even if they are just the 5%, but the health services can't cope because you see, they can cope, but they've got limited resources. And when you get so many people sick at once, well, what do you do? And so, and personally, I feel that is a failing on the part of the government. But I'm just saying that we need to kind of be sensible. Okay, so, and I'll come to that about the failing part. But so this is what is going on. Okay, so first of all, with the masjids, I think it's a very good thing. We should immediately kind of like, masjids are anyway on lockdown, and I think that's a good thing. There's no issue with that. It's always, people, you always, preventing harm is much better in Islam. It's rated above trying to bring good. Okay, so daf' al-madarra is always over jalb al-maslaha. Okay, so just keeping that in mind. The next issue is to do, and this is an important issue, is to do with the burial. Okay, now the burial issue has really kind of caught a lot of Muslims. It's kind of caught, they're caught in the crossfire here. They're trying to think, what's going on, what should we do? People are dying, because look, people will die. Now, even if the numbers are not so huge, let's say they're not in like the hundreds of thousands of people dropping dead, but even if they're dying in the hundreds, let's say, like even if they're weak and elderly, but they're dying in the hundreds, the problem is that the Muslim masjids are not designed to cater for stuff like that. And even cemeteries are not designed like that, if you think about it. People do die every day, but they're not dying like that. So they don't know what to do. And so what Muslims have asked the question on ghusl: do we need to wash the dead bodies? Do we need to bury? Can we bury the dead bodies? Or some people said we must bury the dead bodies. So first of all, I would just like to explain that I feel it's important to go with the medical and the scientific kind of guidelines and advice. And especially the emphasized kind of strict guidelines, if I put it like that. I don't just mean if they say, yeah, it's better. I mean if they say it's dangerous not to. I mean like that. So if the scientists and the medical experts are to say that this would contaminate the soil by burying people, then in that case, I would say that we should avoid burials. And I'm not unique in passing this fatwa, and I would say it is permissible to cremate the body if that's the strict guideline. And the evidence, I'll come to the evidence, but this ruling has already been issued. It was issued during the Ebola crisis. It was issued by, you had Dar al-Ifta al-Misriya, which is the Grand Fatwa board within Egypt, with its leading Sheikh as well. So the Dar al-Ifta al-Misriya, which is Egypt's main fatwa issuance, and they issued this fatwa for Ebola. You had Sheikh Shawqi Ibrahim Abdul Karim Alam, who's a leading Maliki scholar, and he's also he's in charge of a leading sheikh in teaching fiqh at al-Azhar, and he's also at that Dar al-Ifta al-Misriya. It was his fatwa as well. Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, it was his fatwa as well. I believe that for the Ebola victims, because a certain percentage of those who were burying the Ebola victims were then catching this virus as well. So at that time they issued this ruling. It was issued by so there were a few people that did say that it is permissible to cremate under those circumstances. Okay, and it does not mean that this is, people, the issue is that we associate cremation with Hinduism and things like this. The other thing is there's a lot of emotions attached. So we associate burning with kind of dishonoring. But that's not necessarily the case, you see, because if you think about it, Uthman radiallahu an burnt the Qur'ans to kind of preserve the Qur'an. It wasn't a dishonoring. And they claim Abu Bakr radiallahu an burnt the bodies of apostates, and they claim that Ali radiallahu an burnt the bodies of people as well. Now you may say, well, that was just to kind of get rid of them now that they were dead. But still, if it be true, it goes to show that it wouldn't be something that's so haram. It was done for certain benefit. Now, also in Islam, you can, if a person had died at sea, a burial at sea just means you throw them into the sea. What do you think in the past that if they were on a ship, they wouldn't kind of design a taboot, a coffin, and put them in a coffin? They would just kind of wrap them up, put certain weights, maybe stones, or if they've got anything that's weighty, tie it round, and they'll just put the body into the sea, which is just going to end up as fish food and shark food. So, and that's in every fiqh book. You can do that. You can just bury them at sea, meaning you just kind of drop them into the water to be really just eaten by whatever is in the sea. So, but it was about the intention. The intention was not one of dishonoring. You see, it all comes down to intention. The person is no longer there. Now, what's happening? Those people who are opposing this are using the hadith. Now, there is a hadith that is mainly transmitted by Aisha radiallahu anha. There is a narration by Salma as well. Now, most of these there are some problems in the chains. There's some, so for example, Sa'd ibn Sa'id transmits a lot of these, and he is problematized massively, and then there's Umrah transmitting them. But let's bypass the chain discussion for now. It is transmitted in the Musnad of Ahmad, in Abu Dawood, in Ibn Hibban, now this, and in Ibn Majah. Now this hadith states that the Prophet said, "Kasru azm al-mayyit ka kasrihi hayyan," that breaking the bone of a dead person is like breaking it whilst he's alive. Now, they take this to say that Ibn Hajar and all these people said, oh, this means that the dead has sanctity. And I agree that the dead have sanctity. But sanctity is to do with intention. It's not to do with treatment. So some people use this hadith, another hadith of Ibn Abbas radiallahu an, where he's carrying the dead body of one of the wives of the Prophet. And people are carrying, and as they're carrying it, it's moving around. And he says to them that, be careful. Do you not know that, this na'ash, this body that you're carrying is the wife of the Prophet? فَلَا تُزَعْزِعُوهَا وَلَا تُزَلْزِلُوهَا. Don't shake her body and don't do this. Like, honor it. And look, I agree with that. But that's a kind of emotional respect to the body. Like, if somebody had a body here and they started shaking it and it was a dead body, I would be offended. That show some respect to the dead. But that doesn't mean because the dead body is feeling it. It doesn't mean when you're shaking it that the dead body might wake up by you shaking them. That they might go, Yaar, what are you doing, Yaar? You woke me up. That's not what we're thinking. We're thinking it's dignity. So yes, we agree with dignity, but that's like saying you wouldn't take a normal person and just put them in the ground and cover them with soil, would you? I mean, would you do that with a normal person? I mean, obviously not. You wouldn't take a normal person if they were at sea and just dump them in the water. Is that not, so is that not non-dignified? No, but it's the intention. So yes, we all agree that mutilating a dead body is wrong, because when you mutilate something, your intention is to disrespect. Like the Prophet said, breaking the bones of a dead person is as though you broke it when they were alive. Not that in terms of pain, but in terms of dishonoring the body. So, and we totally agree, like hadith of Ibn Abbas, you shouldn't shake dead bodies and you shouldn't do this. But it's not because the dead body's feeling it, or the dead body's, yaar, I'm a bit uncomfortable here. Dead body's like, yaar, ye ho kya raha hai? Wow, why are they moving me around like this? That's totally not happening, I can guarantee you. But it's out of respect. But the same way you would not do these things to a living person. You wouldn't take a living person and put them in the ground and throw soil on them and bury them, for God's sake. That's because they're dead now. So, similarly, if you did cremate someone, it's not out of disrespect you're cremating them. You are cremating them for a maslahah, for a need and a necessity, that if it was contamination or things like this. Now, so that's something I want to make clear, that look, Dar al-Iftah al-Misriya have given that fatwa. Sheikh Shawqi Ibrahim Allam, who's a great Maliki Sheikh from Al-Azhar and in Egypt today, one of the leading Sheikh in Egypt today, and he's given that fatwa. Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, who's another Maliki scholar, he's given that fatwa. Now, I would say that, and this is definitely my fatwa would be in line with that, that if it gets to that, then taking that is not haram. You can take that option, and it's not a problem. But I understand it's a scary thought, because I won't lie, if somebody said to me, oh, when you're dead we're going to burn your body. Now, you see, I have only ever lived with my body, just as all of you have. So we can't mentally detach ourselves from our body. So when somebody says, I'll do this to your body, we're kind of thinking that they're doing it to us whilst we're alive. But the truth is, that's not how it works. That it works that we are like our ruh, our consciousness is what we will be once we pass from this world. It's not going to be this body. So that's the first thing I want to clarify. The second ruling, so just to add on to that as a kind of like a sub-statement, that the government, I've read today that I think the parliament has made an exception. They're looking into the bill, but they are now, I believe, going to honor an exception for Jewish people and Muslim people to respect religious rights, and they will allow the burial. But they have instructed that I think it's double wrapped in 2 body bags, and they've instructed to avoid ghusl. Now, this is the second thing I want to get to. Ghusl of the dead body. Now, ghusl, people, is simply a kind of rite and a ritual. It's like doing wudu. Yeah, it's a ritual. It's not something that, it's not a life-death scenario. Okay. If you couldn't do wudu, you can move on to tayammum. You can get a stone and just move the stone on the hand. And if you can't access tayammum, you can do things with ishara, by just looking. And the sharia is flexible. It's not a die or die. This is not a make or break scenario. This is not like, let's do this, for God and kingdom. This is not something to become all kind of, I don't know, Braveheart all over. This is simply a ritual. If they are saying that, look, due to air pressure in a room, that the person, even though the person is dead, they can, due to the air pressure, the body can exhale a certain amount of air. like as it's being moved around, and it can, into the atmosphere around it, release COVID-19. So they're advising just to immediately bury. Or worst case, I've heard that they put like a damp towel or something over the person's face, and then you do what you have to do. But all the people who are doing the ghusl need to be in protective kind of gear and equipment, PPE. The problem is most masjids don't have this. There's only a few masjids in this country that have funeral facilities, and a few of them only have this kind of facility with PPE and this protective equipment and hazmat suits and all this kind of stuff. I mean, who's going to have that? Let's be honest. I would say, people, the Sharia has said, look, for martyrs, it said, oh, don't wash them. People say, oh, yeah, but they're martyrs. Yeah, but it's telling you, look, they don't need a ghusl. Like, this is a greater need where you're preventing harm and disease. So the ghusl, I would definitely say that Muslims need to forego ghusl. And this is the fatwa given by Dar al-Ifta al-Misriya. This is the fatwa given by Sheikh Shawqi Ibrahim Allam al-Maliki. He said the same thing. And by Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, I believe, the same thing, to forego ghusl. And just to move on with the burial. It's not that deep. You know, the ghusl doesn't really benefit the dead. Okay, they have already passed from this dunya. It's just a ritual where you are kind of allowed to connect with the body, and you're allowed to do that. But it ain't time to do that. You know, this is right now, there's a pandemic. So leave that. That's what I would say. And I would say don't dramatize this. It's not that deep of an issue. Sheikh Shawqi did say, if people want to do tayammum, do tayammum. Just get a stone and they can move around the hand and the face. But I would say personally, leave that as well. I would say just move straight on to burial. And that's my ruling on that. I think that this is no violation of Islam. This is exactly what Islam would mandate. How do you think people, in the past they had the bubonic plagues, they had so many different plagues. How do you think they were dealing with the bodies? Do you think they were going around, everybody carrying them and hugging them and doing all of this, and let's do ghusl and let's... Do you know that read the books of history, the bodies were just left to rot on the streets. And it mentions that كانت تأكلها الكلاب, that the dogs would be eating, on the wild dogs, stray dogs would be eating the dead bodies. And these were Muslims, but it's just people just abandoned them in the past. And this happened time and time again. Read Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. Read these tarikhs of different of Muslim civilizations when in the years of plagues. So that's my advice. I would say that, look, right now, bury, but just definitely don't do ghusl. That's what I would advise. I mean, if you want to do it, but do it sensibly. Make sure you've got the protective equipment. Make sure you're covering the mouth of the deceased, and then move on to burial. And if there were guidelines that we had to cremate, I think right now they ain't, but if that be the case, it is permissible, and it's not a dishonoring. And what people can do is, the ashes, you can bury the ashes. So you can still create a kind of grave, but you just come back with the astiyan. You say mukti mili hai, atma. So you can bury the ashes, and that would kind of give you a sense of a kind of grave, if you like. But I hope that helps, really. But my point is that right now people are allowed to bury, but just don't kind of add to too much of the panic and this unnecessary kind of fighting. And I said that, look, people were going on about masjids. Look in Saudi, MBS, look how they just locked the Kaaba down. Just shut it off. And these people are going on about mosques. They just shut down the Kaaba. Just raggo. They didn't care. And that's actually how that's actually how the world works. You understand? And so, And people are saying, oh my God, 2020 might not have a Hajj. Calm down. So what? I mean, it's not, stop dramatizing everything. For FYI, right? Did you know for several hundreds of years, the Hajj was abandoned? And many ulama gave the fatwa it was haram to go on Hajj just because of the dangers and things. Did you know that? Including Abu Bakr ibn Arabi's own teachers. They gave the fatwa that it's haram to go on Hajj, even though they themselves were traveling around the world. I believe Tartushi is one of them. In fact, the famous Bidayat I've got it here somewhere anyway. Bidayat al-Mujtahid, when, Bidayat al-Mujtahid of Ibn Rushd, Averroes, the famous philosopher, Maliki Don of Muslim Spain, he writes that he was going to leave out Kitab al-Hajj because there was no point, because nobody does Hajj. In their time, Hajj was a forgotten pillar because Muslims didn't feel that Hajj was important, because they said that nobody does. I mean, it's not that they didn't value, don't misconstrue my words or misunderstand them. They still had a kind of symbolic love for it, but it was nothing, it didn't exist because they said it's dangerous, so they gave the fatwa it's haram. In fact, if you Sheikh Ahmad Shah Brilwi from the Deobandis, what he did during the British time was he revived the Hajj because it had been abandoned for decades, if not a century on end or something. It had been abandoned for so long. And he revived the Hajj in India. So, people, if the Hajj goes for 1 year, relax. It's no big deal. You understand? People have for hundreds of years on end. All these great ulama. Somebody asked today about Ibn Hazm, Ibn Abdul Barr, the great Hafidh of Maghrib. All these great ulama never did Hajj, ever in their lifetimes. And neither did they advise anybody to do Hajj. Because in their time, they gave the fatwa, it's haram to do Hajj, because there's too much danger. And they lived and died their entire lives. Most of them lived 60, 70 years of age at least, so a full life. And they gave and they were taught, they taught, and then continue to teach, and that Hajj would be haram to do in their lifetimes. So, what I'm trying to say, and that's and these were some of the greatest scholars of Islam. I mean, Ibn Abdul Barr was called Hafidh al-Maghrib. He was the Hafidh of Hadith of the entire Western Muslim world, of the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Tunis, Algeria, all that region. He was the Don of Hadith. And yet he would never do Hajj. Neither did any. If you read the great Muslim scholars of Qadi Iyad and all these great dons of Muslim Spain, do you think they went on Hajj? Ibn Rushd, Ibn Rushd al-Jad, Ibn Rushd al-Jad actually did. But most of Ibn Rushd al-Hafid, the grandson, the philosopher, all the contemporaries, they did not go on Hajj. Because of the danger. They just said it's haram. And yet, ironically, they did travel. Ibn al-Arabi did go, but he was an exception. And if you note that he actually just ended up going, he was actually with his father sent as an envoy, political envoy to the Abbasids. But en route, they also he does the Hajj as well. But normally they didn't. So my point is, if for 1 year the Hajj is kind of suspended, just relax. Don't dramatize it. Don't need to kind of think this is end of times, because in that case, the Hajj has been abandoned for centuries on end. Centuries. Can you picture that, people? Your entire existence doubled, tripled, and no Hajj. That's how it was. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, okay, just so you understand that. Another thing I wanted to add with this whole coronavirus thing, that some Muslims, especially where I've seen this, where I've lived, I mean, I'm aware of this, put it like that. What they've done is Muslim shops, they've decided to kind of extort other fellow victims of this virus. And they've started to say that, they've tried to raise their prices and double, triple, not even double, triple, quadruple. I mean, they've gone ridiculously kind of raised their prices. I know the government is now prepared to take action if you report them. I would say definitely report these people. If somebody's trying to rip you off like that and they're ripping off fellow victims, and remember, even if you can pay, it's not fair for the elderly, for the disabled, for the vulnerable to have to pay double, triple just because some prat wants to get rich off people's crises. Report these people. Wallahi, I would say that. And it seems to be only really Asians who are doing it in the UK. I mean, Indians, Pakistanis, things like that. I think mainly they were doing, the large supermarkets have all kind of conserved their prices. I would say even boycott these places, honestly. If I'm not saying you have to, but I would say that, you know, you should name and shame these people, have zero respect for them. This is categorically haram. What these people are eating is haram. Okay, if they are extorting the vulnerable in a time of a global pandemic just to earn a few extra pounds, earn money. I mean, I'm not against, I'm very pro entrepreneurialism. Earn your money, seek opportunity in crises, you know, expand your business, but don't extort, don't exploit. Do it by seeking opportunities. So, you know, it's shameful. You know, shame on these people. Wallahi, I'm really disappointed to see. You know, when I see some of these clips like that, disappointing. But anyway, that's some food for thought on all of that. I'm just trying to think what else. My thoughts on this whole coronavirus thing is that I do feel that. I mean, obviously, there's a global lockdown now. I do feel seriously the emphasis needs to be on two main things, which I think the UK is not doing yet. Its first, which it should have done with its first goddamn Cobra meeting, it should have done, honestly. And that is, they should have set up something like 100 standby hospitals immediately. That would have been, you know, and I don't mean create them from scratch. You just have to hire out 100 hotels up and down the country. Business is going to be low anyway. It'll boost the hotel economy. Just hire them out, the buildings. Order in, fly in, air cargo from anywhere in the world. The runways are empty, airports are shut down. Fly in the equipment you need. Fly it in from China. Anyone that would manufacture it, fly it in. Everyday flights, PPE, hospital beds, filters, whatever you need, you know, breathing apparatus, whatever you need, bring it in, set them up. All COVID patients ought to have been taken just to these hospitals. It's a medical staff of 50,000 people at least, easily, 100,000 beds, and the crisis is easily catered for. That's the first layer they should have done. The second layer, which the government is not doing either, in the UK some governments are, is you need to be trying to fight the virus. They're not fighting it. You see, they're just trying to prevent, they're dealing with secondary issues. So when the old people get ill, they're doing things like giving them breathing apparatus. Yeah, but that's like a last resort. What they ought to do is administering drugs that will slow down the impact of the virus and boost the immune system. Anti-HIV drugs. Okay, why are they not administering these kind of drugs? Because they're saying they're expensive, but so what? They need to be doing that. Boosting the immune system of the elderly people. Giving I guarantee you, you know, a lot of the studies have shown, even where they said some of these drugs were not showing much positive results, but they were slashing the death rates. What you would do is, I guarantee you'd slash the death rates by half. If they started to boost the immune system in these isolated hospitals of the elderly coming in, can you imagine them giving them this kind of stuff, giving them growth hormone, giving them these antivirals, giving them these kind of like malaria drugs, chloroquine or whatever it's called, but this anti-malaria drug, giving them these things, you would have slashed the death rate by half at least. You would have contained the victims. You would have prevented contamination. And you see, that this is what really they needed to do. The lockdown, fine. You want to lock down, spray down streets, do things like this, fine. I mean, but that was the real thing, which the government still hasn't really done. Not in this country. But yeah, so that's when I become Prime Minister. You see, I would have handled this within a week. Within a week. By 2 weeks, honestly, that would have been my strategy. That you drug up the immune system. We'll see how many people die. I'm telling you, how do you think? I honestly believe this. I do. It's not by luck that the Queen is so old and still alive and healthy. It's not by luck, people. Luck, luck na hai baba. This one, cha-ching. This one is to do with having access to medicine, medication, boosting the immune system. They can do it. Right, okay, and I want to add a final note now on this coronavirus thing. People, a lot of people are panicking, right? I want to remind us, look, take all the precautions, definitely take precautions. Take, your vitamins, drink a lot of fluids, social distancing. If you do have it, try and stay away from people. Don't try to, self-isolate. Don't make contact with the vulnerable. All of these things are a must. I strongly emphasize that. But two, in this time of this kind of pandemic, I want to remind people that seriously, we do have something known as tawakkul upon Allah. Right? Do not, because you see, many people, they kind of like tunneling into a kind of mental death by worry and depression. Look, Allah will provide for you in that sense. Like don't always remember, do take your steps. Take your steps. As the Prophet said, "I'qilha." Don't just leave. Take your strategies. Tie the camel, the Prophet said. Don't be stupid. I ain't going to tie the camel. Tie it. But then once you've done what you can do, ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. Be steadfast. فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Know that, look, Allah has got you. Okay, do not go into a despair, people. How much of our lives do we have control of anyway? Don't become so, self-imploding. Don't kind of just cave in this kind of catastrophe. In just thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? Yes, I'm not saying there may not be hardships. There may be some hardships, right? But remember, inna ma'al usri yusra. That with difficulty comes ease, people. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. Do not fall weak. Do not fall weak, as Allah says. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. And do not let yourself become sad. That remember, inna Allah ma'akum, that Allah is with you. It does not matter what people say. Wallahi, it does not matter what people say. We do unquestionably have the strength of faith with us, the power. It is incredibly powerful. Whether people who don't believe at all, they could say, well, it's a placebo. Fine to them, but we do have iman. We do have tawakkul. We do have this understanding that, that Allah is in control ultimately. So don't kind of go into this kind of this panic spread of mental manic depression and worry yourselves to death about these kind of things. And stop freaking other people out. Okay, stop trying to scare other people. Oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, that is happening. Relax. I'm serious. I can't stress this enough. You will see, maybe that there are some reminders that I'm not saying. Look, I do not believe that Allah has sent coronavirus as a punishment. I do not believe that, okay? But what I do believe is that Allah teaches us that فَاعْتَبِرُوا يَا أُولِي الْأَبْصَارِ, that seek ibrah. Like there is in every cloud a silver lining. Have you noticed how China, several regions of China, after months saw a blue sky? Wallahi, that's unprecedented. They were saying in in Italy, dolphins have returned to several coastlines. They've shown in Israel that it was Egyptian geese were kind of walking around. Nature had kind of come back. Several places, for once, Venice was starting to see cleaner. For once, the water was actually clear. And this is a reminder that we we cohabit this earth with other creatures. हमने तो बाप का राज बनाया हुआ है. It's our thing and it's nobody else's. It's our dad's. It belongs to our dad. Truth is, we cohabit this earth and we've forgotten about nature. And this is a reminder in that sense that look how beautiful nature is as well. And it does exist, and it is nature's space as well. It's not just ours. So in that sense, it allows us to see this opportunity to kind of reflect. It also is an opportunity for people to spend time at home. People are like, oh, I wish I could spend time at home. Maro up. Mutu. This is what you wanted so bad. Waqtulu anfusakum. Kill yourselves. Right? But no. And I would say that, look, you do get to spend some time with family, with doing things, relaxing a bit as well. I know that if you can benefit, if you can switch off that global noise that people are sharing and just switch it off for a moment. If you want to learn. If you can exercise at home, exercise. Do exercise though, people, because it keeps the mind healthy. A healthy body is a healthy mind. So I really want to stress this, because the amount of people I see speaking negative. Oh my God. Mufti, you're not taking this seriously. Mufti, you're laughing. Are yaar, mere rone se kya hoga? What's going to happen? And, how do I help this by crying? If that's the case, then let's all get together and cry. It's not going to help the situation. So look, experts are trying to deal with it. You take your steps. Have a sense of tawakkul as well upon Allah. That know and try to seek opportunity in this moment. People are saying it's devastating the economy. It is, but it's also, have you noticed, there's always a silver lining. It's also created so many jobs. Drivers and people, and Morrison's announced so many thousands of jobs, 3,000 I believe, and Sainsbury announced this. We need thousands of people to restock, and Uber is looking for so many drivers, and so many, it's also created. I'm not saying it hasn't damaged the economy. It has. But what I'm trying to say is look for opportunity. Right? It is right in front of you at times. So I hope this is a message, because I've really, I know people think, look, I take things lightly. Maybe I do take things lightly, but I just want to say that I feel that, look, I can't, we can't, none of us can do something about this. So in that sense, let's enjoy what we have. You understand? Now we got to sit at home and enjoy it on our own. Asi kalle bebe rovange. What's that? Sada rona kiska maavega. We're going to have to play some Ataullah now. Now the point is, but that's right. Now with that note, some geniuses have. I think I may have missed. If I missed somebody, some of these chats here, it's just because of this message. Ghalib, shukran, much appreciated. Let's go to people. What is going on with with some of the Molvis who are deciding how to handle the situation? No, I'm just messing. This was last week, people. ख्वाब में अल्लाह इशारे करते हैं इशारे. But this time what we've got, people, we've had other geniuses, some who've decided to, who've seen opportunity. £244.19. Forget everything, people, forget everything. Who else is stressed in trying to figure out why 19 pence? परेशान कर दिया यार साले ने कि यार why 19 pence? Why did he say 19? Is it because of COVID-19? I bet you it is. This guy is selling a coronavirus ruhani taweez, talisman, an amulet for £244.19. Wallahi. You know what? I gotta rate him though. Business, people, business. You know what? Because you can't really blame him. You have to blame the idiots who buy it. So, whilst that's happening, we've got people like this genius.
No virus can beat us.
No virus.
No
virus.
can beat Hanafis. No virus can beat Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah.
Ahl Sunnah.
No virus can beat the insane of Mustafa. नबी के गुलामों को कोई वायरस छू नहीं सकता. नबी के गुलामों को कोई वायरस छू नहीं सकता. मगर नबी का जो गुस्ताख है उसको वैसे कोई बचा नहीं सकता.
याद रख लो. वाह वाह.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
So this people is what we're dealing with. We've got idiots out there. Jo Ghulam Mustafa hai, whosoever loves the Prophet, no virus can touch him. Allah, Allah. What to do? Virus. Koi chhu nahi sakta. Virus. You gotta give the passion though. The passion. Wah. You know that. And then you've got some other people who are also on genius mode. So a good friend of ours who's come out with a solution. This is our Maulvi Hamza Maqbool from the States, who's come out with the perfect solution of what we should be doing in times of calamity. Is we should be we should be reciting Sahih Bukhari. Mufti, R.S. Sid, much love, right back at you, Vira, right back at you. Wah. I'm gonna come to that. So here you've got Chaudhry Saab here. Chaudhry Saab is saying that what we need to do is, like in the old times, we sit down and we start the chapters of Sahih Bukhari. Right. What else could we possibly ask for, people? What else could anybody ask for? So basically, the virus, COVID, is on its way. And instead of, I could even understand if he said, let's recite the Quran. I would say that, look, reciting the Quran is a spiritual thing, but it's not a medical cure. But even if he said that, okay, theek hai. He's saying, nah, munna, nah. Let's recite Sahih al-Bukhari. كيف كان بدء الوحي, the first chapter. Do you know, this is not a new strategy, by the way. People, let me tell you, many years ago, many centuries ago, when there was the Mongol invasion and the armies of Genghis Khan, later after him, obviously he had passed away, but the Mongol army was coming through, right, sweeping through Central Asia. There were several Muslims who said, oh, we found the solution. We know what's going to prevent this army. So they said, well, what's the solution? So they said, let's sit together and all of us recite Sahih Bukhari. So this is what it was like. So like some guys he's like, I've got some bad news. The Mongols are coming. And they're like, all right, get together. He's like, oh yeah, I'm here. What do we do? He's like, all right, sit down. Okay, is this, I've got something to give you. Okay. Take one and pass it around. Okay. It says, open it. حدثنا, and it was narrated to us by Muhammad ibn Yusuf al-Farabri. قال حدثنا, who said it was narrated to us by Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, who said, chapter, كيف كان بدء الوحي, how did revelation begin? And that one guy is probably like, right, I hate to break it to us, but there's a Mongol army on its way here, and I mean, hey, don't want to be a party pooper. Hey, that's totally not me. I mean, I never disrupt parties, but said, Halago Khan, Kublai Khan, are you coming with swords? This one not nice. They're like, don't worry about it. كيف كان بدء الوحي قال حدثنا. It's like, well, I don't think they're coming here to test us on Sahih Bukhari. Is that what are they coming here to test us on Sahih Bukhari? Is that the So coronavirus is on its way, and coronavirus hears حدثنا, and it was narrated to us by Muhammad ibn Yusuf al-Farabri. Coronavirus goes, यार ये हम क्या करने आए थे यहाँ पे यार. Coronavirus goes, यार, don't you know how it says the chapter is how did revelation begin? Do you know how revelation began? So strain L goes to strain S. No. Do you know how revelation? No, yaar. Well, listen. Listen. Kuch seek, yaar. Kuch learn something. You dumb. You mutant. This is the conversation between coronavirus, strain S and strain L. They're like, that's how revelation began. It's like, It's like Farabri. Remember the name Farabri. un mar. Head back that way. Ban. Coming over here. Don't they know these guys are reading Sahih Bukhari? Chaudhry Sahab. Honestly, this is why we never learn. Needless to say, people, those cities were massacred by the Mongols, unfortunately. I mean, it's not a funny matter, but unfortunately, obviously, although I think there was like a second of confusion when the Mongols got there and they pulled out the swords and they're like, Haddathana. And the Mongols were like, And these guys were like, Haddathana. They're like, well, guys, is it just us, or are we invisible, or can they see us, or I don't know what's going on here. Then they're like, oh well. Oh God. So people, listen, this is not the way to do it. Right? This is definitely not the way to. You do not, I can tell you, the way to tackle coronavirus is not reciting Sahih Bukhari. If you want to make du'as, you can make dua to Allah. You don't need to start reciting Sahih Bukhari like it's some kind of holy scripture. It's not the Quran. It's not, even the angels must be kind of like surprised at that one. That like, I thought they would maybe recite God's book, but acha. But they decided to recite Farabri's book. Honestly, man, this is crazy. So somebody said, respond to who? What's the? I can't see. I can only see R.S. Sid's chat. He said, my question is, दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई, कहे काहे को दुनिया बनाई. Hi. This is why, true, but this is why. That's, in the words of John Elia, he says, Hasile kun. What's his poem? That where he says, oh yeah, there's a solid poem. It's just slipped my mind. I can't believe it. Where he says, Hasile kun hai ye. It slipped my mind now. But it'll come to me. It'll come to me like that. But he says that this world is a result of saying be and it is. That it's basically because it was done so quickly that it's a rush job basically. That's oh, that's it. Yehi mumkin tha itni ujlat mein. Allah. That's John Elia, Hazrat John Elia Sahab. People, I think we gotta wrap it up. Somebody, Fraudy Frubry, wanting a shout out. You're doing it. God help us. Right, so I think we need to wrap this up. Maybe I might do some other, maybe more learning lives during the week now that everybody's stuck at home. And there's only so much a guy can contemplate and philosophize. Yeah, you sickos, you. Yeah, on that unrelated note, I just remembered, why is the internet quality slightly dropped? Why is there buffering? When you're trying to watch a documentary, in HD, behave, people, behave. You can't. Tawbatan nasuha. Right, so people, let's wrap this up. You know what? It's, on the bright side, nobody has to go to work in the morning. Somebody said, Mufti, you can answer my question. What was your question? Turn the video resolution to 720. Naz, you nutty. You watching it on 720, whilst the rest of us are struggling on 480. What is going on? Ismail saying we can engage in sexual intimacy to Tawbatan nasuha. हम सीधे साधे लोग हैं यार. What's Muhammad Hijab up to these days? I don't know actually. Zubair, you're doing it, Zubair, you're doing it. What is the ruling on drawing anime cartoon? Those are the cartoons, ain't they? I'm sure drawing cartoons are fine. Oh wait, are they those kind of cartoons, or are they? Huh? Wait a minute. I don't know. How they those kind of? See, this goes to show my innocence. Subhanallah, subhanallah. I don't know these things. Naik banda hai, naik banda. Somebody keeps asking if I know some guy. No, I don't know Uthman. I don't know who that is. I'm on 1080p. Pay respects. You're rad. You're doing it. You're doing it, man. You're doing it, man. You're doing it. This is a Naik stream. A Naik stream. A Naik. You know, the funny thing is, you know, Naik in Arabic actually means like the F. The F verb. This one not nice, you know. In fact, there's a this is why I often think, I wonder, obviously Zakir Naik is now popular, but I wonder how Arabs really, every time they say his name, now they're used to it, but Zakir Naik, Naik? Mother? So that's like, yeah, it's crazy. There's actually a mathal in Arabic. It's in the mathal book. It's a proverb that وَمَنْ يَنِكْ يَنِكْ نَيَّاكًا. And it means whosoever, I suppose it's trying to say whosoever messes or F's about, basically, is effing with a technician effer. That's an actual, it's a respect, when I say respectable, it's in the books of, it's in our tradition. It's وَمَنْ يَنِكْ يَنِكْ نَيَّاكًا. That whosoever messes is messing with a don, basically. Bande ne puttar bano. So basically, the story behind it, Hamdani has it in his, I've got it here, it's in the Kitab al-Amthal by Hamdani. And the thing is that it's basically a story about somebody who's trying to kill this guy, setting him up. And he takes him, but the other guy kind of gets an inkling that he's setting me up. So he pre-plots. So there's like a twist to the twist. So when they get to this place and it's supposed to be a twist and he's supposed to kill him, like it's a setup. He had actually arranged the setup as a second layer setup to set that guy up. So obviously it backfires on the person, and then he says that in return to him as a like that's his response, and it becomes a proverb that he says, وَمَنْ يَنِكْ يَنِكْ نَيَّاكًا. That whosoever he goes, basically you're messing with a don. It's like you know, no teach father how to have children, you know, this one. Father ko beta nahi baap kehte hain baap. So this is that one. It's like I think on that note we should wrap it up, call it a night. I'm sure we're all busy. On that note, when it comes to proverbs and Arabic poetry, there's you know, Imru al-Qais, somebody speaking about intimacy. Imru al-Qais is a legend poet, Don Arabic poet from the Jahiliyyah time. So he says in his poem that he has one called تعلق قلبي طفلة عربية. Allah. This, by the way, those of you that are into poetry, it's tafla, okay, with a fatha, not tifla, like a small baby, like a small child girl. So some people have read it sometimes as tifla, and they've thought, were the Arabs into small girls? And that's not true. It's tafla, which means a kind of, it means a well-defined and well-defined, shall we say, woman or young lady, like in that sense, tafla. But you know that from the poem anyway, because he speaks about what he's doing and her body, and he describes it, and you couldn't describe a child. And he even speaks about, I played chess with her, and she would try to outmaneuver me in chess, and this and that. And so, but anyway, that's on a side note. But تعلق قلبي طفلة عربية. Allah. So he says, this Arab girl, my heart has become attached to. So it's a classic poem. But in it, he says, فَقَبَّلْتُهَا تِسْعًا وَتِسْعِينَ قُبْلَةً. So he says, so I kissed her 99 kisses. ये हो क्या रहा है, ये romance period चल रहा है. And then he says وَوَاحِدَةً أَيْضًا وَكُنْتُ عَلَى عَجَلٍ. He says, and one on top of that, so 100. He says, and he says, and that, and yet I was in a rush. وَكُنْتُ عَلَى عَجَلٍ. अच्छा हाँ, तो चौधरी साहब यहाँ पे 100 निकाल रहे हैं. They're managing to still squeeze out 100 even though he's in a rush. He's like, ये तो मेरा जल्दबाजी का काम है. This is when I'm in a rush. Sid, RS Sid, you're doing it, yeah. Gio Meri Jan, Gio. Bukhari is the person who stopped me accepting Islam. The Nabi Muhammad, who I know is intelligent, powerful, caring, not how Bukhari shows him. I did ask a question in my previous chat. My question are honest. Yeah, I mean, I believe that I've got a very detailed video on Bukhari. You see, it's not so much about Bukhari. Bukhari are like three. There's the man, the book, and the myth. And the man, I think, was a decent man. I don't think the man was a bad person or anything. I think he was, somebody who struggled and was sincere in his own way. And then there's the book. The book is the question that has it reached us entirely? How many hands have kind of edited it along the way? And that's the question. And there's definitely a margin of error. And then there's the myth that it's infallible, which is unacceptable and is damaging to Islam. So yeah, 100% agree. And the other thing that, look, why has Allah made anything? Why has he made this world? What did he, in that sense, Sid has asked this question. And although it's, from one perspective, one can picture true, that is true, that, there's so much, as the poet says, he says, what is it? मैं मुख्तसर दिल की बात कह ना सका, इतने गम हैं खुलासे में आएंगे नहीं. But there was a poem I was hearing last week actually that was about this, that इतने गम हैं लिफाफे में आएंगे नहीं, as well in another line, that there's so much sorrow I can't put them into one envelope. It's a very touching kind of poem. And it's true that there are so much sorrows and so much distress and, struggle going on in this world. But there is also so much beauty. And there's so much compassion, so much, love, so much that it's intriguing, that one can find it in the strangest of places, and all you have to really do is just look. Sometimes it's right in front of you. And I think if I had a choice personally as a person to have existed or not to have existed, as an individual, if I had the choice, like let's say you could never have existed and thereby you could have avoided all suffering, pain, the concept of suffering, pain, anguish, angst, crises, sorrow, melancholy, despair, depression. True. But at the same time, I would never have known joy. I would never have known laughter. I would never have enjoyed the company of people. I would never have appreciated the depths of intelligent conversations. I would never have appreciated beauty. I would never have been overwhelmed by my senses. I would never have loved. I would never have laughed. I would never have lived. So I would most certainly choose life any day over non-existence. I think it's amazing that many Muslims have you see, that we believe that God is, in many ways, how Tilak had said the ground of being. Many Muslims, I believe he took that from the Muslims. We believe Allah is wajib al-wujud. Okay, He is the necessary ground of being. And our existence, our wujud, is thereby, in some ways, but a manifestation of His existence. And in that way, we ultimately find meaning in inna lillahi, that we are from Him and we return to Him. And I think that there is so much amazing wonder in life. So I always choose positivity over negativity. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm like anybody else. I will ponder. Sometimes I will, these things when I'm, maybe when I'm on my own, sitting there listening to some poetry, contemplating, maybe in a hot bath with a cold drink, and I start sometimes wondering, and I start thinking about life and thinking, what is everything. And just like anybody else, I will have these thoughts. But it is something to have loved, lived, and laughed. I think that, we too have come and seen this, and chalo, we'll go as well someday, but alhamdulillah, we were here. So let's cherish it. Let's, it's like that thing I've shared before, that sketch where the person, that cartoon where he's saying to his dog that, do you know, someday we all have to die? And he says, yeah, but every other day we don't. So yeah, inshallah. People, I think on this note, let's call it a wrap, inshallah. It's been awesome, as always. You guys have really stuck this out. Today was an extended session, I suppose, with the curfews. So remember me in your kind du'as. Take very good care of yourselves. If you haven't already liked, subscribe to my channel, do so. Click the notification bell icon so you get notifications. Reach out to me if you want to reach out to me. You can do on Facebook Messenger. You can do on Insta messages. I do try to check them and respond. And my du'as are with you all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you all smiling, even in times of despair. Trust me, smile. Have some tawakkul. Inna Allaha ma'ana. The Lord is with us, inshallah. He watches over us. As Ghalib says in his poem, and I'll wrap it up with this, that Zindagi apni jab is shakal se guzri Ghalib. Downstairs, I'll share it on my thing. I've got in my dining room a massive kind of a thing handwritten. I had it made. I paid some money for it at the time. A few years back, this poem of Ghalib I've got. I've had it like with calligraphy in chalk written. And he says, Zindagi apni jab is shakal se guzri Ghalib. That when life saw such things that it did, Ghalib, like when we went through such stages in life, hum bhi kya yaad karenge ke khuda rakhte the. That what can we say, Ghalib, except that God took care of us. So with that, people, have a very good night. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.